Hello and welcome to this short little tutorial. We're just going to look at parenting. So I've already kind of implemented it here, so I'll just show you it not working, and then I'll show it to you working. So let's shortcut the process here a little bit. So I'm just going to press play, and when the sprite falls, you can see that when the platform comes down, he kind of bounces all the way down on it. And that's simply because the platform and the player have no connection, and basically the physics, there's acceleration on so this is animated and this is falling under gravity, so they're kind of moving at different paces. So that's not desirable. Now maybe in a particular design it would be, but not in this one. So I've got added an extra a variable in here, which is the transform of my player. And we'll have a look at the script in a minute and see how that works. And now when I press play, you can see that kind of bouncing up and down is now gone. And that's simply because the player is now the child of the platform. Now, as the child, the player is still free to walk about, can jump, so it's still free to be the player and do player things, but it means that when the platform moves down or moves up, the player will stick to it and not have that kind of bouncing effect, which is obviously what we want. So, and that's not what we want, but we'll look into fixing that another day. Okay, so let's have a quick look at this script. So this is part of the player script. So I know there's a platform control script. I haven't put anything into that yet, so we're just still working on the player control script. So at the bottom of this, we had already kind of dialed in collision. So we had said if there's collision between the player and an object with the tag ground, then is grounded is true, and then that allows us to jump. And then we're not in contact with the ground when it's not true, when it's false, then we can't jump because is grounded is false. So we've already kind of gone through that. So this is just one extra line here and one extra line down here. So this basically says if I'm touching an object with the tag ground, now you might want a specific case. You may want to have certain platforms with certain attributes. You want the player to bounce on some but not on others. So we literally go player.transform.parent equals collision.transform. So we're basically saying this object here that we collide with, that becomes the parent. Now what is this player here? Well, we've just loaded that in here. It says public transform player. So transform is just an object that moves in the game. It needs to be present at the start of the game, so we can't load in a prefab and have that become player. So it has to be sort of persistent. And then this here is player.transform.parent equals player. So basically on exit, when we leave the collision, the player goes back to being its own parent. Okay, so it's no longer affected by so what we don't want is the character to jump off the platform, but then as the platform goes up and down, the parent or the player still goes up and down. So we want them to be separate once we leave. So that's it. It's just 2 lines of code. That's all I want to do in this little tutorial. So it's only going to be 5 minutes long. So as I said, once we can drag and drop the player in here so we know what we're talking about. And when we press play, we'll see its effect here. We're going to take the platform here and I'm going to take away its tag. Oh, too late. It's already done. So let me... Oh, I can't do that now. Whoops. So I jump. And I didn't do that at the right time. So let's take the platform and untag it so that it's no longer got the tag grounded. So now we should get our bobbing, and when we retag it, now becomes the parent. We should get much better contact between the player and the animated platform. And obviously that works for platforms that are animated like diagonally or horizontally as well as vertically. Okay, we'll leave it there for now.